Hey, so I wanted to take a few minutes to make a video to review the character analysis Hamlet essay that you will be completing. If you look right here on your shell, you will see the instructions for the essay. So it says choose a character from Hamlet. It cannot be Hamlet himself. You have to choose another character. Choose 3 specific character aspects to explore in depth. For example, if you were going to write about Ophelia, you could write about her being lovesick for Hamlet, heartbroken by loss, and mentally unstable due to life trials. Okay, so those 3 characteristics of her would be what you would be exploring in your body paragraphs. You should have 3 outside sources. You must use AVL or allocation for 2 of those sources. And then if you have another source that you find outside of those 2 AVL or allocation sources, you can use it as your third, or you can use an additional AVL or allocation source for your third. You do not use .com sources unless you receive approval from me. So if you find something that you think is a good resource and reliable, credible, please just send me an email and I will either approve that or say that it's not a good source, okay? You have to incorporate lines from the play within each of your body paragraphs as well. So in each body paragraph, you're going to have lines from the play, and then you will have an outside source as well. Both of those sources, the play and the additional source, should be further developing what you're claiming as far as that specific character. So if I'm writing a paragraph about Ophelia being lovesick for Hamlet, the lines from the play should portray that, and then the outside source should go along with that as well. Your introduction and conclusion paragraph should be a minimum of 4 sentences. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that content later. You should not have an issue getting 4, 5, 6 sentences for those paragraphs. The body paragraph should be a minimum of 8 sentences. So those are longer. You really want to fully develop those and have some really good content there. The entire essay, the 5 paragraphs alone, should be a minimum of 800 words. So not including the outline and works cited page, just those 5 paragraphs. Please remember that each body paragraph should include topic sentence, lines from the play, an outside source, explanations of the outside source in simpler terms, explanation of the specific aspects and how they affect the development of the character and the actions of that character, and concluding thoughts. So you really need to fully develop the content of your body paragraphs. When you submit your final to me on Blackboard, you should have an outline, essay, and works cited page. And you should also be turning in your upswing feedback sheet. Okay, so make sure you look over all the materials in the Hamlet Essays materials folder. I have some templates, samples, and different things like that that will really help you as you write this assignment. And make sure, once again, you do not complete this assignment on the character of Hamlet. Please. I will give you a 0, so please do not do that, okay? Alright. When we open up the Hamlet Essay Materials folder, you are going to see these resources available for you, as well as the integrity video I'm recording right now. This is a modern translation of Hamlet, so say that you're reading it in the anthology, you're struggling with the comprehension of the play, then you can use this resource to kind of help guide you through the play and what's taking place. However, when you quote the play in the essay, make sure you use the original text from the anthology. So you can look at what the modern translation is saying, is being said, and then you need to go back over to the original text to quote that. Now, this right here is a template that tells you how to put your outline together. So if you open this up, it'll tell you step by step what you need to include. So your thesis, this should stay the same, as well as your Roman numeral 5 should stay the same. It tells you that 2, 3, and 4 should be your topic sentences. Your topic sentences should be introducing the specific characteristic you are exploring in that specific paragraph. All of your A's should be your lines from the play that you are saying shows that specific characteristic in that character. All of your B's should be your outside source support that you're going to put into your body paragraphs. And then your C should be something that describes the impact of that specific characteristic, as far as just the overall character development, the actions of the character, what impact, what effect does that characteristic have on the play. Okay, so there's the template. You then have a breakdown of body paragraphs, introduction and conclusion paragraphs, and then a whole student sample to look at. So first off, let's look at the introduction and conclusion samples. My mind works in color, okay, so that's why this is all color coded. You do not have to color code for this essay. If it helps you just make sure you have everything, feel free to color code, but it needs to be the same as these samples so that it's not confusing to me. But you do want to make sure that you're including all these elements. So right here is an introduction paragraph. So you should be starting off your introduction paragraph with a hook statement. Okay, so that hook statement is going to draw in the reader, make me want to read what it is you have to say. Okay, a lot of times you're going to have maybe a good comparison, maybe just a very strong, significant sentence that really makes an impact. If a statistic made sense to put here, then you might put that. I usually say don't use questions unless it's a really good question. You can see there's a question here. You don't want to say, is Ophelia a strong character in Hamlet? Okay, so if you're going to be very careful when you're using questions. Okay, so right here it says, has there ever been a time that tensions were high at a family gathering? Okay, so most readers can relate to that. So therefore, your reader is automatically going to relate to what you were about to write about. And it says, well, multiply that by 1,000 and there is the tragedy of Hamlet. So that's the hook, okay? So from the hook, you're going to move into a brief summary of the play. You are not going to give your reader every single detail. I do not need every single detail, okay? I want you to give me an overview. You have to save something for your body paragraphs. You also want to make sure you include the title of the literary work as well as the author. So here you can see I have that right here. William Shakespeare's Hamlet is the tale of a young prince robbed of the throne, and you can go on and read. All of this blue section here is your summary. And then the very last sentence is your thesis statement, where you should introduce the 3 aspects that you are going to be discussing in this essay. Okay? So then we have a sample conclusion paragraph, which should start off with a reworded thesis. You should have those 3 characteristics listed again, but not exactly word for word the same. The blue section is a summary of subtopics, so just an overview of what your body paragraphs were about, very, basic. And then your last sentence should be a clincher. You really want this to be something that makes your reader reflect on what they just read, or really just think, okay? And then you have the body paragraph. And I've broken this down as well into those parts that I was mentioning when we were looking at the instructions. So you can see at the end of this document, it tells you what should I include in each body paragraph. A strong topic sentence that introduces the characteristic explored in this body paragraph. You can see I've color coded it, and everything goes together. An intro phrase that's leading into the quote, lines from the play that display the characteristic, a proper in-text for each piece of outside source support, so that would be the play and the additional outside source. An explanation of what is happening during the section of the play you're quoting. An additional piece of outside source support that further develops the content in relation to the characteristic. It has to support your claim in regard to the presence of the characteristic you're talking about. And then several sentences that are discussing the impact and the importance of that characteristic. Make sure your last sentence is a good way to end your paragraph and move to the next topic, and it doesn't feel like you're just randomly stopping. So you can see here, we have a topic sentence. We have an intro phrase here that's leading into this long section from the play. If you have a longer section like we see here, you can see that you do a block quote. And then your in-text citation is a little different because the period comes before and you don't have quotation marks. Okay? Here we have information that's kind of talking about what's happening at this point in the play. Here is an intro phrase that's leading into the outside source quote, and then the purple is the outside source quote, and then we have the proper in-text citation. Here in the blue is the rest of the commentary and the good, strong closing sentence. Okay? Here you also have a student sample that includes comments. So look at this and look at the comments that I've included here. Okay, so you can see right here, all of your A's should include the play itself on your outline. Your V's should be your outside sources. Okay, you can see right here, I've talked about the hook statement, which I mentioned before. And here I talked about the brief summary that I just discussed with you and the thesis statement. Okay, we have a strong topic sentence at the beginning. We have the lines from the play. We have the additional outside source, and all those other parts we just talked about are in here as well, joining everything together. And you'll see that there's plenty of commentary to develop the idea and properly support it. With not just outside sources. I don't want it to become where you have so many outside sources and you are not really saying anything yourself. You have to have your own words in there and just make it make it where it flows very well and it all comes together very well. So here you still have topic sentence, play line, outside source. You have all those parts in your 3 body paragraphs. And then here in the conclusion, we have the restated thesis. We have the brief summary of the body paragraphs, and then your clincher. And this is a really good clincher. I really like this one. It was the one she lost with her own self that cost her the rest of her life. I really like that clincher. So then here, let me scroll down to this. We have the works cited page. And so I have made notes on this works cited page. Most of you are going to have 4 sources listed because you have to have 3 outside sources and then the play itself, okay? So make sure you notice the spelling here of works cited. It's not bold. It is not italicized, okay? Also make sure you notice they are in alphabetical order according to this first part of the full citation. Hanging indent. Don't forget about citing the play itself. You actually can use this citation right here if you would like. Okay? Alright. Okay, so then Alabama Virtual Library, for this specific essay, you will go to college and university, and you will go to Gale Literary Sources. Now, researching is difficult. It's not always easy, so you can't just try for 5 minutes and give up, okay? If you have issues finding things, please let me know, but you actually need to try first. Okay, so here I typed in Hamlet, and it says Hamlet play, so you can start off with that search, or if you know what character you want to research, you could type in Ophelia, and then do fictional character, or even Hamlet fictional character. So then you're going to receive articles that go along with that specific character. So you really want to use the literature criticism articles. You can pull from these sometimes, but you do need to make sure you need to have literature criticism articles in there as well. So a lot of times you can look at just the title and know if it might work, or you may have to go in and read some of it, skim over it to see if you're able to find something to make it work for your essay. Okay? And then another good resource I wanted to mention is Allocation. So you can search, this one has already searched Hamlet, so if you scroll down, you can see here, if you were writing about Gertrude, here is an article on her. If you were going to write about, I don't know what else here, let's see. Okay, if you're going to write about one of these characters, here you go. If you're going to write about Ophelia. Okay, so you can go through these articles and kind of see if you can find something that you think would work for your essay. Here's Ophelia as well. Here as well. Not Ophelia, but another character. Okay, so those 2 websites, or AVL and Allocation, you have to use at least 2 of your sources have to come from those 2 places. Okay, and remember to get the 3rd one verified with me if it is a .com source. If it's .edu, .org, .gov, then it's okay. Okay? Alright, so that is the overview of the character analysis assignment for this course. If you have any questions, please let me know and I'll be more than happy to help you.